Hi, everyone. My name is David Groode, and I'm going to be giving a talk on life navigation. And this last 6.5 years, I've personally had 9 major moves. Now, when I went into those 6.5 years, I didn't know that that was going to be the case. Yet, what happened back in 2014, I met my life partner on Facebook. And after Skyping 9 hours a day on different days, I traveled across the world to meet in person. And what surprised me on that flight across the world was that I couldn't believe and I couldn't wrap my mind around the fact that I was traveling across the world for love. And I thought to myself, wow, I must value love so much bigger than I ever would have imagined, to be putting the energy to travel across the world for it. And it made me really rethink about what was important and what I valued and how that's changed, how the prioritization of those values have changed over time. And so I like to ask people, what do you value enough that you would travel across the world for? And what we value, we put energy into. What we value, we take care of. What we value, we respect. And it's important to look at, wow, what do you really value? I noticed that through all of these moves to these different places, that I always put a lot of energy and attention to that I could be the only one to pack and unpack my art supplies and my books, because I valued my art supplies and my books so highly. I wanted to pay careful attention to the placement of where they would all be packed and where they would all be put when I would unpack them. And these are things, what we focus on, where we put our energy, what we put our attention on, where we put our actions. Those are all things that are indicators of what we value. And what we value determines so much, because that's what occupies our space, that becomes our reality. And really, it's the energy of where we put the gift of our lives. And life is a gift. We all don't know how much time we're going to have here. And, it's really, even though I do readings for my living and coaching, it's really unpredictable, everything that plays out through life. Yes, I could make certain predictions when I look at someone's numerology chart or when I do readings, yet so much of what's at play really is unpredictable. Our world is changing so much. We're changing so much. And yet, through all of those changes, it requires a lot of attention to details of how we want to navigate through that process, and what I call life management. And it could be overwhelming. When you look at what's going on in the world and all the changes that are occurring, humanity is going through a big purification process and clearing a lot. And when you look at people walking around in masks, that symbol of people wearing face masks doesn't always give people a sense of well-being, even though it can make people feel safe when they're out in public and out among other people. It doesn't always give people a sense that all is well, because a lot of those kinds of masks are associated with surgeries or going in for an operation. And so that impression from that experience of wearing a mask and seeing people in masks gives that unconscious impression that all may not be well. Yet all is well. All is everything is in a process of striving towards balance, homeostasis. And everything is happening to bring humanity and our world to another level. And the symbol of wearing a mask has changed so much, because it also gives the symbol or the message to keep quiet. And that can be an unconscious driving force through seeing people wearing masks around our world as well. There's so many unconscious messages that leave impressions that humanity is having to work with and process through all these changes. Because not only are we processing things individually through all of our own life experiences, consciously or unconsciously, we're processing things that the world is going through, that humanity is going through, where people live in their own cultures and countries, what's occurring there. So we're processing a lot, consciously or unconsciously, on collective levels as well, especially as we become more aware of it. And as we take the time to contemplate that and think about that, and how that interplays in our own decisions and in our own way of how we navigate and move through the world and our lives. So much of navigating life, what we do and how we do it and the decisions we make, is impacted by other people's decisions. And so much of what we do and what we decide has an impact on those around us who we love. So people can have all the best intentions in the world and want to create all the best things, yet they get derailed often from having to pick and choose which things that are a priority to manage. It can dissipate the energy from that could be going into making all areas work. And as we put energy into some areas through our actions and our thoughts, other areas go by the wayside. Or they become atrophied from not being utilized. So it is important to take a intake of, wow, what feels out of balance? What feels completely out of control? Where could I be putting more of my energy into to make adjustments to bring all these areas into balance, to be able to manage all the areas effectively? And if I'm not able to on my own, who can I get as part of my team for support to be able to make these areas work amazing? And these moments that people can take during their day or in their lives to really look at, wow, what areas are working for me and what areas are just completely derailed or out of control. And when people feel out of control, or like they don't have a handle on things in certain areas, it makes people less inspired sometimes to really show up and take on those areas because they don't always believe that they can get a handle on them, or they feel it's out of their reach, or they don't quite know how to do it or what to do on their own to make it happen. Our world has been set up through a very masculine structure and way of being of go out and make it happen now, or pushing through things, making things happen, forcing it along, actions. Yet the feminine way of being is really what's going to heal our world more, which is inviting and attracting in what one would like to receive and create through who you are choosing to be, who one is choosing to be. So through one's way of being, or who you're being, you're inviting and attracting towards you what you would like to create. That's the feminine, part of the feminine way of creating and manifesting, which is in a sense very healing because it's all inclusive. It's being open to being in a flow of grace and being open to sense and what's wanting to occur besides what we think ought to happen and ought to, the way we want it right then. Immediate gratification. So it's not like people are born and know how to do life. We learn how to do life through our upbringing, through our family systems. And some people's family systems are really good with money. Some people's are not. Some people's families struggle with addictions. Other people's not. So everybody's had these different upbringings and life experiences where they've had to learn through life. How do I move forward? What works? What doesn't? How can I shift it and make it different? How can I improve it? And it's all like a big creative laboratory or school. And life is the teacher. Like I said, it's really unpredictable. And if we're conscious enough, we can choose the material that we're working with. Yet if we're unconscious and we're not paying attention and completely out to lunch, then life just happens and we don't always get to choose what we work with. So how do I become more aware to be able to work in harmony with myself and with life? Well, one thing is to just notice where you're at. Notice what's occurring. Be present to it. Because we all get to start where we're at. You can't expect to leap 7 steps and not have handled some of those steps to get there. Everybody gets to start where they're at. And that's a beautiful thing because sometimes where we find ourselves can be shocking. It can be completely unexpected. It was never on my radar that I would be meeting a South African and who was living and working in New Zealand and traveling to New Zealand to meet. It was the furthest thing from my imagination. It wasn't even on my radar. And that's why life is a surprise, or has a series of surprises and unexpected graces. And it's what makes life so magical compelling and exciting. We're in such a dynamic process of changes occurring in our world, and we are co-creating it. So for those of you that may be looking for something off planet to intervene or to save humanity and the planet and to, shift things for the better, maybe, there's always that possibility, but really we're the ones that have created it. In a sense, we're the ones that get to shift things to make things work better. We are the ones. If it's not some outside force that is just going to automatically come in and intervene, it is up to us to get a handle on what's occurring in our world and in our lives, and to move forward with it and really make it work and make it phenomenal. So if you want to look at what's in the way of that happening in the world, each of us as people in this world get to look at it within us first and get to see what is it inside us that's not flowing or in the way or out of balance or needs to shift. What could work better, and what adjustments could we make to make that happen or shift in our perceptions to have a completely different experience and consciousness with it? It's funny because human beings are funny. They want it all to happen, and yet they want it to be convenient, easy, with minimal effort. I love convenience, I admit it. But people are funny in that way. Oh, can I just sit here and have it all happen? Do I have to really get up and make some efforts? Efforts are a really great thing because efforts produce energy. And energy builds momentum. And momentum propels you forward. So if you're committed to creating a breakthrough in any area of your life, show up consistently. A little bit every day. Doesn't matter where and when. A little bit every day. You still get to balance that with being present for people you love and people that matter and that you say are important. But a little bit every day in areas that you want to break through are going to build energy and momentum to be able to break through. It's exciting to build energy because it attracts more energy to it. Life gets the message, hey, there's something happening here. So life brings more energy to it. People begin to gather and notice energy is being produced through all those efforts and actions that are focused. So as the energy builds, the momentum builds, and then you can follow through and take it to a completely different level. A lot of people miss follow through. So that's another area we can be impeccable in. Impeccability is good because anytime we create messes or don't leave things clean or unfinished, it brings everyone we love around us into that mess. So people are much better off not leaving things messy, communications undone, leaving relationships messy. It's really surprising sometimes how people handle people because it's not impeccable. It's not always in a way where they would like to be treated and handled themselves. So to do this, one has to be somewhat aware, somewhat present, to at least be able to notice. And that's rewarding. That means there's someone home. Because it's easy to be out to lunch and not pay attention. Wow, where did those 10 years go by? We blink and 10 years go by. We're touring through here, through the school of life, in our spacesuit, our outfit for the experience. And, we don't take the outfit with us when we leave. We leave the outfit and go home. So we're visitors here in this world, and we get to take care of it while we're here. And we can learn so many wonderful and amazing things in the process of being here. It is dynamic, and it is constantly changing. So much so that people can find themselves processing it over time. So, where a lot of people get stuck, because I do a lot of life coaching with people too, is people don't always bother to define things. They know what they don't want. They know what they want sometimes, but they don't always define their action plan or how they're going to go towards creating and shifting more of what they want. The less that things are defined, the more it creates ambiguity. And ambiguity leaves room for a lot of different interpretations. So you want to minimize the ambiguity when you're, creating with other people or making agreements. And when you don't want to give mixed messages, and ambiguity can bring a lot of mixed messages. So the clearer you're able to define things for yourself and with others, the better off you're going to be to move through it, and you can always renegotiate it. It's not like it's going to take your freedom away to be more defined. If anything, it's going to give you more clarity to move through the process. Freedom is a really interesting perception. Do you think everyone is free wearing masks? Maybe. Like I said, freedom is a perception as well as an experience. And it means different things to different people. For some people, it's having the space and room to do what they want to do and not be told what to do or how to do it. For other people, freedom is having the resources to be able to create and do what they want when they want. So it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It's interesting to look at freedom to see how that influences what you decide, what you choose, and what you do. And how you treat others around you based on your perceptions of freedom or feeling like you're being told what to do and how to do it. Most people are not as flexible and open as they'd like to think. Because if we were really open to be flexible, we would be open to live anywhere, and we would be open to doing any kind of work. So don't fool yourselves that you're these open, flexible beings all the time. It's just not true completely, you know? To a point. As long as things match people's ideas and pictures and prioritization of how they think everything should show up, then they're flexible. But the minute things don't match those priorities or pictures, the flexibility can go out the door. So flexibility is a key for moving through the world more freely and easily with more grace. I'd say completing things is important too. People gain great value and growth through completing things well. It builds esteem. It supports people to become better, to finish what they start, and to finish it well. I had a big surprise because I made a list of incompletions in my life, and I have my coaching clients do it too. And I realized my first incompletion was from 6 years old, not completing piano lessons because I felt forced into it and didn't like the homework. And I thought, wow, my incompletions consciously go all the way back to 6 years old. And so after looking at my whole list of what was on there, I starred the ones that I had the most energy on completing. And as a result, I saw that not all of these completions were overnight. Some of them would take time. So one of the first ones I did that I started to take on was at 36 years old, I went back to university and finished my bachelor's. And I did it in what I really wanted to do it in. And so the timing was good. And that was one of my first big breakthroughs on the completion list, was completing my bachelor's. Since then, I've been working with other ones that I've made a lot of progress on. And like I said, some of them can take a long time. Like, learning a language. That takes time. And completing things is worthwhile and is rewarding. It just makes you a better person within yourself to complete things that you've taken on and just dropped because you didn't think you were good at them, or you made it a time conversation about not having enough time, or you lost interest. Find a way to look at what would be really valuable to put some energy and time in to complete, because it'll just grow you in all ways. And you'll be super glad. So there's so many ways we can approach life and approach navigating and moving through life. It's looking at the different areas in life and looking at, well, what actions am I taking? What energy is going into those areas? How can I bring more energy to the party? And it's really the energy and the light that make things happen. What kind of light are you bringing to it? If you imagine inside you like a room in a house, and those dimmer switches for the lights that you twist and the light turns on and it turns brighter? Well, we all have an inner light that's connected to the universal light. And if you turn on that switch brighter and do things that amplify and energize that light, then you even have more of it. And one of those things that energize the light is spiritual practices, meditation, mantras, yoga, qigong, tai chi. All those things prayer, all those things energize and amplify the light. How much energy do you give your light? Because the more light people have, it creates more prosperity. It brings more light to everyone around them and everything around them. What do you think being in a funk, meaning not a great headspace or mood, attracts and creates? It attracts more of it. So if you're committed to attracting that and creating that, great. But if you want to shift that and create something different, you have to look at, well, what are you really energizing? Are you energizing the negative thoughts and stories you're telling yourself, or what you're making up about everything? Or are you energizing, what's exciting and inspiring and putting your energy into that? Are you creating some space to do what's in your heart and to allow yourself to have everything that's in your heart? Because most people don't even give themselves permission and freedom to allow themselves to have what's in their heart. And just by noticing what's in your heart and giving yourself permission and freedom to have that and create that, it reprioritizes everything, and it becomes a deep healing, not only for you, but for everyone around you. Because you're living from your heart and you're saying yes, and you're giving yourself permission and freedom to allow that and have that and be that and move through life with that. And that is inspiring. And what happens is the universe opens up even more. The more you give yourself what's in your heart, the more the universe opens up with you and brings you and gives you even more of it. It's amazing to watch. So why wouldn't you want to give yourself what's in your heart? Some people don't know what's in their heart, so that's their journey to be able to find out and get clear about what that is, how that shows up. Most people, or a lot of people, are still learning what it means to be able to show up for themselves. Like they know they need to show up and exercise or work out or eat right to create and have good health. But it's also a thought process. It's an emotional experience. Are you clearing and processing all your emotions with everything that you're experiencing in life? Or is it all just being piled up inside you and you're not really looking at it and dealing with it? You have to ask yourself, what am I in avoidance of? Because some people are masters at creating distractions for themselves, so they don't really put the energy where it would be optimal for them to put the energy into in their lives. And really only you can decide that for yourself because it's your life. So when looking at what's going to be different and how am I going to make it different, you got to look at your relationship with it all. And in order to create balance and to move forward, to create a beautiful relationship with life and with you, you got to look at what's going to create harmony there for yourself and peace and how you can negotiate that with the people you love around you. So everybody gets to, create what they want. This is the thing. People don't always bother to communicate or check in with the people that they love. They just push through and do it anyway. Yet what they do impacts the people they love. So why not check in with them, or at least include them? This is the thing, the other piece about life navigation, and that is impact. Everything we do has an impact, and for ourselves and for other people, and it sets up the future. So it's impossible to analyze it all and plan it all out completely. Oh, if I do this, then that'll happen. Because there's so many other factors at play. You could go into probabilities of what could happen or will happen. And yet, there's free will. There's free will to go, wait a minute, I can do this differently. I can think about this differently. I can show up for myself differently. What would it take to be present for you and present for the people around you and not distracted by technology or all the other distractions that are available 24/7 every single day? How much of a relationship and room and space in your life do you give technology, where you have a bigger relationship with that than the people around you who you care about and who care about you? Are you giving people around you who love you your best? Or are they getting your completely unreasonable side that, you wouldn't even like to deal with if it showed up in other people? Because everybody has a reasonable side and an unreasonable side. And if you're going to move forward in life with people you love in relationship, you better each make sure you can handle each other's unreasonable sides when they come out. Anyway, the thing here is to look at, what do you love so much that you could gift yourself every day with where you put your energy? That you could build it into a career, that you could create a life full of it everywhere around you. So your whole life becomes magical and amazing. And like I said, a healing for everyone around you and for you. There's so many choices. Yet what's going to have the biggest value for our energy? For, what we're committed to creating. And sometimes we're not going to know usually until we experience it or go through it. How do you create and manifest and actualize what's occurring in your world? And how is your world in this world? Are they in harmony together? One of the best places I've ever been in my life is South Africa. I love South Africa. South Africa is a yes country for me. I've been there twice, and every time I go, every door opens. And it's just an amazing place. It really is powerful to set yourself up to be in environments that support you, with people that want you to win, and environments that are nurturing to you. It makes all the difference, rather than being in some toxic environment thinking that you're going to make it work, and it just ends up dissipating all the energy of what you're creating. Much better to pick an environment that's inspiring. So God knew how much I loved South Africa, and God brought me a South African for a relationship. For the 6.5 years we've been together, we've been in visa processes in different countries. Do you know what a mountain of paperwork that is? Yet the commitment to be together was so big that it superseded all of those visa applications and all of the finances and everything that took to make that happen. We're still in visa processes. Anyway, make the commitment bigger. So if you might not like what's occurring, you might not enjoy what's occurring, make your commitment to seeing what you're doing through bigger. It'll just grow you. What are you making bigger in your life that you give so much energy and significance to? Look at what you're making bigger, and what would be worthwhile to make bigger than anything else. Because we can magnify things and make them so much bigger than they need to be, when it would be so much easier to just move through and handle things. Yet, people like to make things big. It's not always the most productive thing. So after these 9 major moves and visa processes for 6.5 years, finally got here, both of us, to the States, to my home country, to be able to be here. And now that we're here, it's more visa processes to be able to keep him here. And everything that takes efforts in life is usually worthwhile. Only you can determine what's worthwhile to you enough to want to put the efforts and the energy in to do it. You have nothing to lose by going for it. Because for any change to be real and lasting, you have to really want it from deep within. And then it has the opportunity to build into something that can last. And with that, you want to think about, well, with the gift of my life, what am I committed to creating for what I'm going to leave in this world for this world? What's that going to look like? And what would I like that to be in my heart of hearts? So not only am I doing it to learn and grow and be fulfilled, I'm doing it for what do I want to leave in this world, after I'm done going to school here. It's compelling to think about, and it's worthwhile to think about. It creates a much more awake life and way of living when we think about impact, when we think about why we choose what we choose, and how we choose to move through life, and how we treat others, and how we treat ourselves. and how we share the world that we're all living in and part of and taking care of. Thank you all so much with my whole heart. If anyone wants to find out more about readings or how to work with me, please visit my website, www.innerprecision.com. Thank you, everyone.